right, guys, it's the part 2. We come back after a break. Yeah, show me.
Can you see?
Yeah, great. Error, failed to create user. Nice. It's 500 coming. From where this error is coming? Are you having an error handler, or where this response is coming? Can you make the request again?
Yes.
I wonder, because it's a very nice, beautiful error message. I don't know from where it's, because we don't have that part yet. Try to make the request again. I don't see.
Try.
I,
Okay.
I don't see. I just see something freezed.
I don't know. I don't know why it's not working now.
Is your Chrome updated?
I think so. I'm not sure. Can you see the terminal though?
I see your Visual Studio, but I see user router and a response on the right side, and what you do, I don't see anything. It's just a freezed.
Okay, then let me share again.
All right, I see something now. Great, that's a good error you have. I see it down there, the console log. Make the request again, and
Getting it?
yeah, you're getting that, but it's telling waiting. You see the VS Code is telling you waiting.
Yeah.
It's because the problem is that it threw an error and it went to the catch section. If you go to your user router, so the error happened and you were successfully catching the error, and it went to line 20. And line 20 is just console logging the error, but it's not responding back the error to the front end, because we don't do that part yet. Because always a request that comes, always there should be a response. Doesn't matter it's an error or a successful. But the error part, we don't send a response. That's why you see still waiting. That's the first thing. So it's okay. No. Leave the console log. I want you to have it. It's okay. But the console log telling you one specific error that I wanted to show you just a bit later. But create the error, we want to talk about that. Just make the request again and check the console log. All right, look at, guys, the error. This error message is gonna be very familiar to you soon in the future. And let's read it from the where that we have the object Azam and password 123M. After that, there is a, let me see if I can annotate on your drawing. You don't have permission to control. Okay. No, it's fine. So there is a message. It's written Mongo server error E11000 duplicate key error collection in the terminal. You see that. This code, or the message that is telling you E1130's duplicate key, this means it's a duplicate user. So you have already a user with the username Azam in your database, and now you are trying to create the same user with the same username, and your database, we set it in the schema, unique true. This means the username must be unique, and if someone tries to be saved again as a same username, Azam, then it throws you this error. It says, oh, it's not unique, sorry, I don't save it. If you want to make sure if you have such a user in your database, try to make a GET request now. You can see you have one user there. And if you want to create a new user with the same username, you get that error. I would like I want you to change the username now to someone else. Oh, what is that? What you doing? Why you do that?
I don't know. That's why I'm what I'm doing here.
It's hard coded now. You need to use rec.body instead of that hard coded inside. Yeah, completely remove the object inside of the create function. Completely remove the curly braces. Inside, go back that you have a very clean code in one line. Bring the parentheses in one line.
Sorry.
Great. Now is clean. The new user coming from the direct.body. Exactly. Now it's great. Now let's make a request with the new user. Try to have a new username. Like change it to someone else. Yeah. Great. Let's make the save. Fantastic. It's saved into the database. And if you want to see all of the users, try to make a get user. And now you have two users in your database. One Azam and one Mickey. Great. Now try to make again the same with Mickey. Try to save it.
What do you mean?
Like make the request again with the same user. Yeah. Now you get the error again. It says duplicate. Yeah. That's the thing that I wanted to show you the next step, but you have it already. That's great. We can do it together now.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let's do this. So we know that first let's solve this problem that we had. Let me make it to one thing. Let's go to my user router. So catching all errors. As we talked about it in our notes, a request, when a request goes, always there must be a response. That response, either it's successful or either an error happened, and here we want to send a response actually for erroring. Okay, because this part is not sending a response. I want to make the error again that you see. I have such a user in my database. I want to create it the same. The database gives me a nice error. Okay, this is the error message that we console logging. But look at that. It's waiting forever. You know what happens? Imagine you have a website. That page will be loading forever. And the user just sitting there, why it's loading forever? Because your page loading forever, just waiting for a response, and the response never comes, and it's a bad user experience, and the user doesn't know what to do, they leave your website. Yeah, so always you have to send a response, either it's an error or it's a good response, doesn't matter, but a response should go there. But about the error handling, I wanted to talk about. We always use a global error handler. It's like a middleware that catches all the errors and sending it to the front end. All right? Let's do this. It's a very important thing, and I want you to have it always. If you go to the companies to work, that's how they do it. So, in your server.js, you have a lot of routes. It could be a lot of different routes, /users, /products, /animal, /that and that and that. You want at the very end of your server.js, somewhere here, like after all of this, somewhere here. It should be the last middleware, so to say. You want a middleware. You want to say, to create a middleware, we were telling, hey app, I want you to use. This means for every request that is coming, Because when the request passes, comes here, then there should be an error happening. We want to catch that error here, send the response. We want to have a middleware. This is a special middleware because we know the signature of middlewares are having the signature of middleware, how it looks. It looks something like this. A middleware, it's a function, has 3 parameters. But a global error handler middleware is a function with 4 parameters. That's the difference. So usually we have it like this: rec, res, next. But this one is really special, and it has 4 parameters, which is the first one is error, or so to say, short form of error. This is my favorite one because it's handling all the errors. We can send, so this person, imagine this person as this middleware, or this person, imagine it as a person that everyone in the family, they give their problems, errors to this guy, and this person carrying them, sending them to a front end or somewhere. This is this person. So everywhere in your code when you are writing, doesn't matter in which file, we can send that error to this person, and this person can take that error and send it to the front end very nicely. Why we do this, why we say it global error handler, because it's globally, like for everyone. It's like it's sitting here shouting, say, hey everyone, whoever catches an error, send it to me. I'm gonna send the response back myself. So don't care about anything else. Just send me the error. That's the person that is expecting and shouting to everyone, send me your error. I'm gonna send this error to the front end as a response. This is actually the meaning of that, yeah? Which means this is a global error handler which is handling all errors happens in the entire of your backend. Takes the error and sends a response to front end. All right, let's see how it works and how even we can send the error here. Today in the notes we talked about a middleware function can stop or continue the process. Stopping a process could be an error, so to say. The moment that you want to stop something, oh no, stop, it's not, it's wrong, it's an error, I want to send an error. That's the moment. Who does this job? The stopping or letting it go, it's the one that we already talked about it, this part. It's the next. This function next is doing this job. All right? So here in our like catching error, instead of the console log, we want to send this error now to that global error handler, to this one in our server.js. We want to send the error here actually. And this guy gets the error and sends a response as an error. To do that, you have a try and catch, and you're going to try something. If everything goes well, nice. You have a response here and sends the response. But what if an error happens, like you had duplicate key, or we have duplicate user in our database. The username is duplicated. I'm not gonna save this user. These are the errors that it comes here. and we catch the error. And if you say next parentheses, this means everything is fine, go, continue. Yeah, if you don't put anything inside of the parentheses, this means everything is fine, go, continue to the next middleware, which is wrong. We don't want to do this. We don't want to make it empty here. Okay, we want to make it empty if everything is fine. We're going to create a middleware if there is a time, we have time. Another middleware that we use next, very simple one. But if you don't leave it empty, look at if I hover on that, it says it can receive an error inside. You can put an error inside. So when you put an error inside, what does it do? It sends this error to the last middleware in your server.js. What is this last middleware in your server.js? It's here. It comes here, the error. And it will be inside of this variable, this parameter. Let's test it. I'm going to test it. So what do we want to send? We want to send a always very nice object error like this. If you want to send an error, the structure, please learn it how I do it. That's the professional way that the companies do, okay? So when you use next and you put something inside, it considers an error. And that inside, it's always an object. You want two things in this object. One, status, yeah? And another thing will be a message. And we've learned that every error has a message inside. That's why we say error.message. And also the error that you want to say, you want to send a message. What is the message? Will be the error.message inside whatever it is. So error, whatever this error that we caught it or we catch it, there is a message inside. I'm going to use that. How about status? The status, you have to think about it. Why here something happened? The request comes, why an error happens? If everything is fine, definitely it should be successfully created. But most of the time, if any error happens when you are saving something in the database, it should be the error coming from your MongoDB. The MongoDB is not happy. It says, oh, it's a duplicate user. I don't want to save it. Or, I don't know, password is wrong, or whatever. So because it's coming from the MongoDB, as it's not happy with the data that is coming from the request, then it's the blaming of the front end. The front end sent us a username that already exists. It has nothing to do with server. So this means it's good to use 400 or something. Okay, the status could be 100. And the message, whatever is the error message happening. When you do this, what happens? This next, it's like now someone that carries an error and want to pass it to the last global error handler, which is this middleware, and this person receives that object error. How can we see that we receive it? It comes inside of this. I'm going to console log it now. Let's console log it to see. Still we are not sending any response. Still we are console logging this variable. The error comes here. Let's test it. Let's test it now. So making a request with the same username threw me error. That error, I prepare a nice object error with a status 400 with a message error, and I'm going to send it to the global error handler. But the only thing that the global error handler does is console logging us how the error look like. Let's do that. So bang, that's it, it came here. I even want to put a flag that you see it's coming from here, this console log. Oh, come on, error coming from next and console logging in global error handler. Something like this that you can see. I'm going to make the request again. Making a request with the same user. I know I have this user in my database throws error, we catch the error, we send the error with next to the global error handler, and you can see error coming from next and console logging in global error handler, and that's the error that we have. Now we have the error in our hand. It's a nice object with a nice status and with a nice message. Now I want to send this as a response to the front end, because our front end, you can see it's waiting still for a response forever. Still the page is loading. The user tried to register in your website and it's just loading and never receives any response. Okay, and we want to now send the response. So instead of now the console logging of the user, we can send the response. We have the res here, which is responsible for sending a response. We can say res dot status. What will be the status? The status will be the error dot status. So this error object that we are console logging dot status, which taking this 400, and you need to make sure if there is no status provided, then just use something like 500, because you need to make sure if this error coming from a next from somewhere in your code, if there is no status inside, then you want to take another status, otherwise your app is going to crash. And dot send, we want to send a nice error message. So error, and the message will be again this message. So it's inside of this object. I'm gonna say error dot message. If there is no message provided in this error that is coming from next, I'm gonna say something went wrong. All right. This is your global error handler now ready. I'm gonna just get rid of this console log for now. Let's do the procedure. Now we will receive a response, and then we don't see this waiting forever. Bang! You can see the request that we put the status 400, that's a bad request, and that's the error message. It's duplicate key error collection, blah, 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 username. It's telling you the username is duplicated, it's not unique, I'm not gonna save it. Does that make sense so far? The global error handler, is it working for you? Question.
Can you please share also the user router? No, user model, where we typed it. Yeah, user router.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Welcome. If you don't, if you need an explanation, I can do it. Just ask. Yes. Akila?
I have a question on the global error handler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is just one case of, say, we're making a post request and we're getting a duplicate here. But how about when we're having a lot of other, requests that we're making?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to just keep getting the same message?
No, It's not the same
How
message.
do you fix that?
Yeah, it's always dynamic. Look at that. We catch the error, correct? We don't know what happened. We don't know what is the message inside. Yeah. The only thing that we did, we prepared that error. We added ourselves a status code based on what could happen, and we took the message whatever it was. Inside of this error that we catch it, there was a message. We don't know what is it. And we took it whatever it was and put it inside of this message keyword as an object. And we send it to the global handler. The global handler is responsible to catch it and send a response. This error message could be every time different. For example, look at that. I'm gonna create a error myself. Potato. Okay. We know we don't have a function potato. I want to make a request. As soon as the request comes here, it sees this one. Oh, potato function. What is it? Error. Okay. Look at that. What is now the error? We're gonna catch this error here, hopefully. And then that catching the error will send a message, dynamic message based on that. Let's see. I'm gonna make that a request. Look at that. The error message now is telling potato is not defined.
Okay. So the dynamic error automatically comes from the error handler itself.
It's automatically, the message is different because we use this error, because this error is caught, because whatever happened was an error and it comes here. And that error has a message inside. And that message inside was like kind of potato is not defined. Look at that. I want to console log that you can see this error. Come on. I'm so lazy to type console log, I'm waiting. Error. Let's console log this error. Let's see what is it. And there is a message inside. Let's just only console log the message. So you will see it around here in your terminal. Making the request, and you can see potato is not defined. That's exactly what we send it to our global error handler. So I took that error message, whatever it was, I put it into this message with a status, and with the tool of next, we send it to the global error handler, and global error handler receives it here into this parameter. And what do? We send a status. We say, okay, inside of this error, look at it. Is it a status? Use it. Yes, we put it at 400 inside of it. If there is no status inside, use 500. And then we want to send a response, and we say, is it inside of that error that you sent it me? Is it a message inside? If yes, use it as an error. If there is no message inside, just use this hard-coded something went wrong. All right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it's clear. It's a bit, maybe it could be at the beginning difficult, but you will get used to it.
No, I get it actually. Thank you.
Great. That's nice. This potato thingy, let's forget about that. Fantastic. You have two successful... Yeah, Jakub.
I have a strange thing happening. If it's possible, maybe I can share my screen.
Yeah, for sure. Let me stop sharing. Let's see.
Okay. I hope it's visible. So...
Yeah, just give me a minute that I bring you on my bigger screen. All right.
So I want to add a user, and I already have this user, and this is this error which you were talking about later, and my error handling is not working, actually.
Just before you continue, I see a very small screen. I don't know why. Do you guys see a small also?
Maybe a bit bigger. It's not important.
Yeah. For some reason, you are sharing two screens.
I know, because my monitor is...
you have only one screen? Now it's better.
1 second. Maybe a bit better.
It's better. I try to see. It's okay. So what's
Okay,
wrong?
one second.
Yeah.
I try to make it. Maybe right now.
Yes. Better.
Okay, so yeah, I have this post request to add a new user, and
No, wait.
why is that?
What you do is completely wrong.
Why?
User collection dot insert one. What is that line? Line 26. It's a dead. It's a dead thingy. Yeah.
You mean this thing?
Yeah. The whole line 26.
But it's working. I added user like this.
Yeah, it's working, but you will have problems later, because the user collection that you use, is it your model name?
One more time?
Model.
Yeah.
Can you see your model now?
1 second. Where's my?
All right, fantastic. You have a user. I thought maybe you are using something else. You have it as a name of user collection. Fantastic. And you are using insert one. Insert one is deprecated, so to say.
Okay. So what
And
should I use?
Create.
Create.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Now that is the first thing that I'm happy to see. And now you are destructuring email password from that, and then you put the new user.
What I? Okay, so this is what I want to add a user.
Okay.
And I have already user with this name, so I
Right.
should become an error. But when I made it, I had 201, and user added the same thing. Like it didn't catch the error. So
Yeah, that was maybe why, because of insert one.
But I can try one more time, and we will see. Yeah, still 201.
No, it's not 201. I can see it failed running index.js. You have an error somewhere.
Yes, but here the response is user added, and
No,
it's 201.
no. It should be for
Here's
different.
supposed to be error in this thing.
Yeah, it's something strange. Let me see first your terminal. You get the error here. You get the error here, but the response is not going there. I think it's the previous response. Can I see how you can handle the error? Are you sending the error anyway? Because this is the previous response you had for the first time. You had successful. Let me see how you catch the error.
You mean
Yeah.
this thing and 1 second, and this thing.
Yeah, let me see. You have a global error handler, rest, status, send, red. Yeah. The line, the send, actually. You are sending a string only. See, error.message is a string. And your frontend always expects you an object as a response. You need to put this as a string. This is the next thing that you have to solve. Yeah, that should be as a keyword error. Exactly. That's much better. Now let's give it a try. Let's see.
Okay.
Kuba, before you're going for that, I have one question for that
Yeah.
post request. If you go back to the index.js, I think you're missing the asynchronous keyword and an await as well. Is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. And also you need await for good catch, for create.
Where should I add it? Here. Wait.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now let's give it a try. Fantastic.
Okay, this was the mistake.
Teamwork. Working now.
Okay. Thank
Great
you.
job.
So it was
May I
actually
give you...
async.
Yeah, exactly, because create function is returning a promise, and whatever returning a promise, you need async and await. May I give you a comment the way that you like code it, if it's fine?
Yeah.
So in the line 22, you are destructuring name, email, password out of the rec.body.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe no purpose.
Yeah, and then you save it back again to a new variable, new user. Like, it's just the same thing. You know what I mean? You can do it. Yeah, the structuring is a good thing. You later, definitely, you need to do that when you learn about security stuff. But for now, it was just not necessary. I just wanted to say.
Okay.
Right? Great. And good catch, Shini.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
What I wanted to do. Yeah, sharing screen. All right, so everywhere, guys, you have an catching error, you know what to do. This is always the same. And please keep the structure always the same. So here also, if any error happens, I'm gonna use next, and if I put nothing inside, it means everything is fine. You can continue the request, go to the next middleware, for example. But no, if it's an error, we want to stop the process. We want to say, no, that's an error, go to the global handler. And you want to prepare your error. And always is an object. You want to prepare a status. In this case, also getting all the users, I don't think so any error could happen here. Either we get all the users or not. I don't think so it's the problem of the user for now. If something goes wrong, I think it's maybe the server error, I can say. And then a message you want, correct? That message error coming from whatever happened, and we catch it. So here, error dot message. Yeah, that's it. That's the same. Here the same, here the same. Just the status codes based on the what you do could be different, and that's it. And you have a very structured error handling everywhere and the same, and then you don't care, because the problem is that if you have different structure, let's say your endpoint send only a status code for an error, or another endpoint sends only a message, your front end will be messy, and the guy that working in the front end says, hey, what you doing? As an error, you send me sometimes a message. Sometimes I don't see a message. Sometimes you send me a status code. That will be messy. And if it's messy, your front-end guy should sit there and think about all the possibilities, what kind of error the backend guy is going to send. That's why all of the errors should be exactly the same. You want to send a status, you want to send an error message. That's it. And then your front-end knows if an error happens, I know I have a status code, I have an error message. Nice and clean. Does that make sense what I'm telling? All right. Great. Let's check how many users we have, and I want to check these things. Great. Let's create errors. Let's say, what if there is no password provided? And we want to try to save this, or with a new user. Let's say, let's use my name. What if something like this is going to make a request and save this user without any password? Let's check it. Bang. Definitely it gonna check that, because the user model, if you check the user model in the password section, we said it's required true. Required true means it must not be empty. It must be provided. And if you don't provide it, and if you make a request without that, your database checks, oh, you know, this user has no password, user validation password path is required. This means you didn't provide that, and our error handling is perfectly working now. What if I don't provide any username also, and something like that will be saved? Definitely not. Now the user validation failed, username is required, password path, password is required. This error coming from your MongoDB. Your MongoDB is not happy about that. Yeah, so all of these cases can happen, and don't be afraid of errors. The errors are your friend. Please just love them, because from the errors you're going to learn. Is it working on your side? Do you have a question, anything? Because we have 30 minutes and I want to create one more endpoint for deleting a user. Or for getting a specific user. I have only one user. Let's create more users. I want to create me with this 1, 2, 3, I don't know, something like that, password, create, successfully created, response back the user with a unique ID. Let me create another one, Shinhi, yeah, and then save, fantastic. Let's see, if I try to get all the users, you can see I have an array of 3 users in my database. Great. Let's now, sometimes you want to get a specific user, yeah? Like you want to get not all of the user, you want to get a user with this ID, which is J, or a user with this ID, which is Shinhi. You need a specific endpoint for that. And in the notes, we had that like something like this. I've have some example for you. You can create an endpoint like, for example, for getting a specific user. It could be a get method and then to /API/users with a specific ID. And that ID, we can get a single user with that. But before that, have you learned about params in backend? Shinhi, have you had that, or you were sick? I think you were not there.
Yes, we did.
You had. Okay, then we can create this endpoint. Good, let's do it. So this endpoint is responsible for getting all the users. This endpoint is responsible for saving a user. I'm going to create another endpoint somewhere here. So the same thing. And you know that you can chain them. If you don't want to repeat this thing or repeat this stuff, you can chain. It's okay that you can say, instead of telling again user router and then .get, you can chain it, just short form. You can say .get. But you have to make sure that there is no, for example, semicolon here, because that won't work. It consider it as an error. See, now it's complaining. So it should be chaining like without any semicolon and so on. You can use chaining. Otherwise, it's okay to use every time. Yeah. So we want to do this. If there is a GET request coming to /API/users and then / with an ID inside of that. Do you know what is this colon here? You said you had params, and I want someone to explain that. All right. You had it also in your React. some kind of like that. It's for dynamic parameter in the link or whatever. How does it look? For example, let's say there is a user, there is a request coming to this endpoint, and it's a get user, and then /API /users/ with an ID. That's the ID of the user, let's say. Or maybe IDs is just, could be numbers and these things, something like it. Yeah, that's the ID of a specific user. And if you want to be able to access to this ID from this link that is coming in the request, you need a specific syntax. We call it params. And if you need to access to this part, you need to use / like it means after /API /users, then at the end you will expecting an ID, so to say. That thing you can access to that if you use double colon at the beginning. This colon ID. This is just a placeholder name. You can name it whatever you want. You can name it cat, you can name it dog, you can name it Igor or Jay or whatever. But it's referring to the last part of your URL, which is this part. You can access to that. All right, let's put it in practice. So when a request comes here with an ID inside of the link at the last part, the request comes here. I need a controller to handle that, or a handler. The same thing. Rec, res, next, and this thing, of course, like always, that we know that should be async because we want to use our model. So for now, let's just start with the console log without doing anything. If I want to get access to this one, or to this one that the request is coming, to access the ID, I can have it from inside of the request. There is a parameter rec.params, I think. Rec.param or params, I don't remember it. Let's check it. Let's make a request. Oh, this is rec. Oh, fuck. Oh, sorry for my words. So, rec dot, give me suggestions, Visual Studio. You give me always suggestions. I want to see. All right. Let's see if we have params or param. Params, then good. It should be params because it's not singular. We can have a lot of params. Yeah, exactly. Params. This one. This is giving us the last part of the URL, whatever is inside. And how it enables us to give it to us. Because if you say like this, yeah? Sorry? Who was it? Someone asking something?
Oh, maybe someone forgot the mic on.
Ah, okay. Great. If you forget to put this double colon and just you say /ID, then this means it doesn't refer to an ID. Your URL looks like this. Then there should be a request to /API /users/ID. It exactly should be written ID. It's just a link. But no, you don't want this. It should be dynamic. It should refer to something. And then dynamic that refer to something, we should put this colon. Then this means whatever comes here, it could be an ID or whatever. You know what I mean? So let's test it. I'm going to make a request just to this endpoint, a GET request to the endpoint /API /users with an ID. And let's see what is the console log. Let's go to the user HTTP. Let's create another endpoint. So here, I'm going to make a GET request to our base URL, which is our server running localhost 7777 slash API slash users slash this garbage thing. So I need to be able to access to this garbage, which say, let's say now it's an ID of a user. And let's see if I can access that. This request goes to which endpoint exactly? Why it doesn't go to this endpoint? Where is my endpoint? Why it doesn't go here? Because also it's a GET request and we're sending a GET request, and also it's to a slash API slash users, and here also is the slash API slash users. Why it doesn't go there? Why it goes here straight ahead?
Can you repeat, please, the
So
question?
the question is, when I make this request goes exactly, finds the exact endpoint. It comes here because it's a GET request to this link, and it finds it matching them and it goes there. When I get this request, that's a post request to the slash API slash user, the request exactly goes to this endpoint, post. How does it know this goes to this one, but not to this GET one? Because both of them are GET. This is a GET request, this is a GET request, but how the request will be coming all the way down here? That's the question.
Because we have next in the first one, so it says it has to be first.
We don't have next here. Do you have any next? The only way that we use next is just if an error happens, we send the error.
As a request response, the next.
This one.
Yeah.
This one is just a parameter to use it somewhere that we want. The request...
Because the endpoint is the ID.
Exactly. The request never goes inside of this block of code, because the request comes... The request is like this. Let me put it next to each other that you can see. The request is gonna find exactly the matching endpoint. You have 3 endpoints here. And you send this request. To which 3 endpoint goes? It goes exactly to the method that it matches, get, and it exactly go to the address that it matches. So between this one and this one, the address are the same. They are referring to slash API slash users. But the method is different. So between these 2 things, which one will be chosen? The one that has a get method. Then that's why it goes inside of this block of code, do the stuff. The next one. This goes, and between these 3 endpoints, which one will be chosen? This one or this one? It doesn't choose this because the method is get. This is the post method. So it's completely ignore this part. It comes here. Is it a post? Yes. Is it the same link or the path? Yes. Then it goes inside of this function and does the job. How about this? This request comes and it's a GET request. Okay, we have a GET request here, fantastic. Another one here. But to which one it goes? It depends on the path. The path here, till here is the API slash users, fantastic. So if it was an API slash users, it would definitely go here. But at the end, there is another extra thing like an ID that it doesn't match here. Then it says, oh, it's not you. Then it should be you. Then the request comes here. The order matters. The request comes from the top and tries to find the exact endpoint. All right? So when we make this request, it comes here. The only thing that we do, we console log the params. Bang, and look at that. We have access to this garbage ID that I put it just here. From the console log, what do you understand from the rec.params? I want you to tell me what is the rec.param? What kind of data is it? And so on.
I think it's an object.
Fantastic. From the console log, I can understand that's an object. When I say rec.params, I understand, oh, that's an object, okay? From where this key coming? Because the value, I know the value coming from the link or this path. But from where this coming? Why it's not here something else? Sorry?
From the params that we use?
The params gives you the object exactly, and inside of that object there is a key and value. The value, we know it from where it comes. It's coming from the request. It's inside of the request. Fantastic. But how the params chosen this keyword as an ID? Why it didn't use another name? That's the question I'm telling. Why it didn't use, for example, pizza equals to this?
Because we didn't put pizza after colon.
Yeah, good catch. That's exactly what I meant. Here is just a placeholder. We use ID because it's related to the ID. We know that we want to send an ID here. Yeah? What if it was, let's use pizza. It's just a placeholder. And the rec.params, what it does, it says, okay, you want me, what is the params after the link that it comes? It's an ID. And then the keyword you want me to put a pizza, I would put it in pizza in an object. Now, if I send a request, this time our object has the ID as the value anyway, but has a keyword pizza. They are not meaningful. Yeah, that's why we always try to put something here that is related. It's an ID, then let's use ID. You know, I just wanted to emphasize that the naming doesn't matter. So great, we have the ID in our hand. We can use this ID and go to our database, this ID that is coming, and go to our database and find the user that has this ID. Why? Because I make a request to get all the users again. You would see that, let me close this. You would see all of the users have ID that automatically added by MongoDB in the database. These are unique ones. And if I have access to these, one of the IDs, I can find them by requesting. So in the user router, let's, instead of console log now, let's find this specific user. We can say const. Let's say find user, let's name it. Equals to. Again, the tool that we need to communicate with the database is our model. And we know that it's returning a promise or query, then I use straight ahead await. Model user model, not model user, sorry. User model dot. So this time it's not just find. We can use another function already built in, which is find by ID. Let's see. If you check all of the functions, look at that. We have the find that is going to find all the users. And we have one more thing, find by ID, which is it gives us one single person or one single resource. This find by ID, what we need to pass to this function is the ID. And if I read that, you can see you can pass as an object, so to say. Or is it an object or a string? Let me see. It could be any type. So this means we can pass the ID straight ahead here. We can say rec dot params. That's an object. This is this one. And I'm going to say dot ID because I want to pass only the ID to that. So we're going to say, hey, find a user in my database that has this ID. And this ID coming from the link of the request. We have access to that. And if we find it successfully, I'm going to send a response of status 200, successfully found it. And I'm going to send a response that the user, find user variable that we found. If something goes wrong, if we don't find it, we have to say it, yeah? But before that, make sure that you have a try and catch. Otherwise, if any error happens, you cannot catch it, your application is gonna die. So I'm gonna try all of these things. The code indentation is so important, so please make sure you have a clean code. Finding the user, sending a response. If something goes wrong, we want to catch the error and send the error to global error handler. The same thing. I'm going to use next with an object. I'm going to say the status. So if I cannot find the user, then this means the ID was wrong or whatever. It's not the server problem. It could be the front-end problem. They gave me a wrong ID. This means it's the bad request. And with a message, whatever happened in the error, we can say error dot message. So the error dot message coming inside of this error, whatever happened. Let's test it. We definitely get an error if I send a request. Where is the request? HTTP, yeah, here. We definitely get error because this thing is not at all an object ID or the ID, the specific ID that MongoDB creates. This is a garbage that I put it here. And MongoDB is very, very clever because the ID that they create, look at that, is very specific. This ID, we're going to talk about it someday. But this ID is very unique, and the MongoDB knows that this is created by MongoDB. If someone tries to malform that, or I don't know, to change something inside of that ID, the MongoDB knows that, oh, this is not the ID I created. It's just, I don't know it. Boom. Error. Yeah? And definitely, this is not the ID of a user in my database. And it's not the ID of a user that the MongoDB created. Let's test it. I'm going to make it a request. Definitely error. It went to our endpoint, 400 bad requests, and we get an error. It says cast to object ID failed. In programming, the word casting means converting. Okay? The MongoDB tells you, hey, I tried to convert the ID. This ID in MongoDB, we call it object ID, that ID that MongoDB creates. It says, I'm trying to, this ID that you gave me, this one, to convert it to object ID to see if it's really I created or not, but it failed. It's not my ID, this one. That's why it throws an error. So we need really an actual ID of a user. How to do that? You need to get all of the users. Let's just copy and paste. Let's say Shinhi. I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. So in this case, we want to make a request to get a specific user with this ID. We don't know who is this, but we have access to the ID, and send the request. Bang. Now everything is fine. It's gonna send back to us the user. Who was that? It was Shinhee, and the ID, and that. Does that make sense? Is it working on your side? Great, fantastic job. It's today you're done. That's it for today. Question? Let me stop recording if you don't have a question.